So this is probably by far one of the most requested videos I've had. This is my, I'm going to say, review of EA WRC. Now, before I get into things, I'm not really a game reviewer. I'm more of a game enjoyer. If I like a game, I'll play it. If I don't, I won't play it. I tend not to make videos about reviews because I feel like I don't know, I'm not the most unbiased person in the world. I likes what I likes. First things first, this is basically Dirt Rally 3. If this game was called Dirt Rally 3, people's opinions would be completely different. I understand why. It's hard to trust, given their various business practices. Which is why I want to start straight away with, how does this game drive? I mean, that's the important bit, right? Because we're all frustrated, want to be rally drivers. So, how does this drive? Is it believable? And I'm happy to say that it is generally a decent improvement from Dirt Rally 2. With the main step forward coming on tarmac. Now, tarmac rallying in Dirt Rally 2 was kind of painful. It was a lot worse than its rival counterpart, and it really stood out. I almost wanted to avoid the tarmac rallies because they were kind of unpredictable to drive on. And whilst the tarmac physics are better, they still aren't perfect. Cars still have this weird tendency to glide along the surface of the road, and you don't really get that feel that the tyre is interacting with the tarmac, that it's biting in, that you're having that friction. It just feels like you're sort of skating on top of it. If you were to consider Dirt Rally 2 tarmac as like a 3 out of 10, then this would be like a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10 in terms of tarmac. It is serviceable and it is fun, but if you're looking for that hardcore sim experience, and they've already started writing out your comment down below about how Richard Burns' Rally is superior, then probably not going to be too happy with it. It's a similar story on the gravel physics, a step forward, but still not perfect. This could of course be a massive skill issue on my behalf. I find that consistently in these rear-wheel drive cars that I do have these issues. It's quite hard to understand when the car is going to slide properly. You do get feedback in the wheel, you do understand when the car is starting to go round, you can correct it, but often I've found, especially in lower speed corners, the car wants to rotate like that really quickly. When that happens, I don't understand how to recover from it.
2 left of the crest, half long, and 5 left, 70.
I find that happens a lot in these cars, rear-wheel drive cars. You suddenly just have a snap. In terms of actually the force feedback and setting up, happy to say that now at least, that my Moser R21 is now recognised by the game. This was not the case. And it is pretty damn cool being able to use an H-pattern, handbrake and all this stuff seamlessly. And I'm happy to say that you have to drive the cars properly. If you're in full manual, you need to blip. You need to clutch in properly. Otherwise, you're going to start missing gears. For me, I'm a fan of driving the slightly older cars in WRC. It's just a bit more fun. The new cars are great, but so it's nice to have the option to do all the manual boring stuff. But let's move on now to the stages. There are a whole host with, thankfully, stages that are now over 8 minutes long. I mean, the longest stage I've seen so far, I think, is 34 kilometers, 35 kilometers. Takes you a good 25 minutes to get through. They're nice and narrow as well, which is something that we used to complain about a lot in rally games 10 years ago, so where stages were sort of widened a little bit. This feels like it is definitely directed towards an audience that wants to take the game seriously. I mean, I'm at a point at the moment where I've not got all the stages memorized yet, but that point will come because there are only a finite amount. But for me, I'm a big fan. I really like this. The progression from Dirt Rally 2 to this is pretty big. I think they've done a good job. I like the stages, and that brings us on nicely to graphics. And this is a big point of contention. First of all, the move to Unreal. Unreal was sort of known for being difficult to run. I'm happy to say that when this game came out, that was the case. The game was a bit of a stuttery mess. I mean, I've got 3090 and a 5950 AMD Ryzen, and I was struggling to run this game at like high and mid settings. I would get stutters no matter what I did. You're driving a racing game, especially a rally game, where change direction very quickly, and sometimes the way you're going isn't obvious. One, it takes you completely out of the game itself, like the immersion is broken, and two, you usually end up in a ditch somewhere, and it can be extremely frustrating. I think that is an ongoing issue that is still being looked at. In terms of how the game looks though, it's a bit of an odd one. I've heard people say that it either looks great or looks like a PS3 game. I'm there for sort of the driving and the enjoyment. So for me, it looks better than the last Dirt Rally and looks better than a certain other rally game, but you'd expect that. The cars themselves, I think, are to a good level of detail. There are a lot of very cool cars in this game that I'm massive fans of. Of course, the F2 cars I've mentioned before, all the old Group A cars, Sierra Cosworths, R2 Escorts. There are cars for everyone. I'm really happy to say they all feel pretty decent. They all feel okay. You know, there's not any car where I'm like, oh god, what is that? That's awful. They all feel decent and they're all fun to drive. I'm going to be using that sort of terminology a lot because for me, this game is something that I want to sit down and spend some time with. And that quality is actually reflected in the sounds as well. The sounds for every car, I think, are bang on. You can tell a lot of effort and love has gone into trying to get the cars sounding right. For me anyway, I don't know about you guys watching, having a car sound like the real thing is one of the key factors of being immersed in any game, any sim.
Unseen, lane 3 left, opens, tightens, slowing, 50. 6 left, 40, 4 left short, 30, 6 right, over bump, and 6.
Now earlier I sort of kind of mentioned gameplay, and that's something that exists. Career modes as well, which I've played quite a lot of on stream and enjoyed quite a bit actually, trying to make tough choices in my scheduling as to whether I wanted to go be Junior WRC champion or go win a Super 1600 rally. I did both. You can make your own championships as well with completely custom rallies. There's a car builder mode to make your own car, which I did on stream. It was a ton of fun, and it really made me kind of root for my team a bit more, seeing my absolute monstrosity of a vehicle take to the stages. It was good. It's a WRC car, right? There it is! The Dinkus! Oh, look at the wang, though.
Left of the crest, tightens,
See that save, chat?
40.
Ignore that one, that was not a save. Help me, Step Pro! As well as there being a rally school for newer players, which I'm really happy to see that returning. I remember doing a rally school in like the original Colin McRae game on first PlayStation. How important that was to me to learn how to go faster. Also a cool little mode, Cool Moments, which is basically a scenario mode. Which lets you relive some cool real-life moments. There's also quite a lot of cool fictional ones as well. So there's a lot to do in this game, which I think genuinely is where a lot of racing games let themselves down, is not actually having anything to do in that racing game apart from, well, race. But despite all that, there's one thing that really lets the single-player experience down, and that is the AI. How AI could be a problem in a game where they don't really appear. For us, as rally people, they're just names on a leaderboard somewhere. And I was going through a stage, and I was about 5 seconds down, going through a micro sector, which is about 2 minutes long. By the end I got to the end of that micro sector, I went from being 5 seconds down, 20 seconds ahead of the AI. There's something very strange going on. They're either rapid to the point of you just cannot possibly catch them, or so slow you can actually win a rally pretty much on one stage. They'll be 30 seconds behind and they just cannot bring that back again. I'm not sure what preparation was done to sort of give the AI rough benchmarks, and I know there are a lot of cars and different classes there, but what I would have done if I had someone like John Armstrong, I think JWRC champion, I'd have him take one of the cars from each classes and run through the stage as fast as possible and have that be the benchmark for 100%, because that guy is rapid. But it feels like that's not what's happened at all, and it, again, takes you out of the experience. There's nothing cooler than feeling like you have to push in rallying, because pushing in rallying is like high risk, and when you see, oh, I'm a second off, I can maybe catch him, and then you push through a sector and you're 20 seconds ahead, you think, oh, okay. It's a big shame, and it's one of the most disappointing parts of this game for me. I think the last thing I want to go over probably is the online. Online's a weird one. You join a club, do a rally, and that's about it. But the functionality for it isn't great at the moment. With one of the most glaring bugs being that if you say, for example, have quite a bad stage and ding up the car to the point where it's unrepairable, close the game and then load back in, your car is fully repaired, which straight away makes any sort of competitive rally pretty much impossible. At launch, there's no multi-class, similar to what there is available in single player, and there are just various other little things in there as well, and it just feels a little bit tacked on. A lot of features that you want as an admin are just not there, so a little bit of a shame. Now, I know I spent a lot of this review pointing out negative things that I would change. Honestly, I love this game. I think it's fantastic. It's been a long time since I've actually wanted to sit down and play this game. This is pretty damn good, and I've got no problem recommending it. It is super promising. You know, it's really nice to have a game come out and be like good and not just lazy. So many games recently have been lazy. Not naming any names, Forza Motorsport, WRC Generations. I don't name games like that. This feels like effort has gone into it. If you're a rally fan and you want to drive a very rally game with a lot of stuff to do in it and a lot of little things to experience, then I think I'd recommend. And to you super hardcore people out there, ones that play nothing but Richard Burns Rally, I say give this a chance, but give it a chance with an open mind. You know, you're not going to get the same experience you get in RBR. If you can look past this game being a bit more forgiving, you'll have a good time in this game. But anyway, that is my kind of rambling review of EA WRC. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button. Take care. Have an awesome day. Bye!